YouTubers, this is Joe from ArtAlienTV. Another game of interplanetary I Spy going on here. Now, a lot of you may be familiar with this channel, Crrows 777. Had a lot of hits on his Lunar Wave series of videos, which are very interesting. And I've been pondering over this for a couple of weeks now, and I've watched a lot of his videos, which are well made, and the guy's a genuinely sort of nice guy. But I've done a bit of delving into what I thought this might be, and I've been trying to think about this and maybe figure out whether it is hologram or maybe it's something else. So what I did, I took a copy of the video, and I've got it up in my video processor. I'm just going to show you his video up here. I'll put it full screen. I'll just quickly show you that now. I'll just show you a quick section of that. Okay. There we go. You can see the wave coming up now. I'm just going to pause it there. Now it's up here by this crater here, or whatever it is, this large black spot. I'm going to go back a tiny bit, and we're just going to watch that again. There we are, right near the top of the page. Okay. Right. Now that's pretty visible in this full screen shot here. So I'm going to go to my video processor. Now what I've done is I've loaded it up into here. I've copied a section of his video, and I've loaded it up into this movie maker software here. And what I've done is I've selected edge selection, which is basically the only way I can really show what's going on outside of the circumference of the moon here. Now, in order to ascertain whether this wave is on or around the moon, what you need to do really, or what people need to do, is to look at the area either side of the moon, the dark space area, and see if this wave extends beyond the edge of the moon as we see it. Now this is his logo here, so ignore that sort of bird wing there sticking out and that tail sticking out. But what I want you to pay attention to are these squares, external squares. Now what those are slightly lighter patches of black in space, and they're being picked up by edge detection. And because this is a compressed file, they come up as squares. It's basically an edge detection piece of software that lets you see stuff that you cannot normally see. It kind of turns it negative and then really kind of goes in for the edges and shows them. And you've got to adjust the brightness settings to get this to come out, because otherwise the problem is the wave does seem to extend beyond the circumference of the moon. And I'm going to play that. Okay, now let this run through a minute. I want you to concentrate. Here comes the wave. He's panned it, the camera. Now the wave's come back up here. Now I'll follow it up with my cursor here. Now look at this here. Right, okay. Let's go back a little bit. Now I want you to concentrate on my cursor here in this top right corner. Look at these pixels here and see how they move when the wave goes past. See? Okay, I'm just going to do that again. It's not easy to see this, I appreciate that. I'm going to go back a bit further this time. Now concentrate on that top right corner and look at these square and rectangular pixel shapes in that corner. That's coming up now. Now it does seem that they are affected by this apparent lunar wave. Okay, so what's happening here? So I did a bit of delving into this, and I did kind of think that it was maybe caused by the Earth's atmosphere, and not by the wave is not actually on the moon or around the moon at all. It's between the Earth and the moon, and it's actually, well, I looked it up, I googled it, and come up with some results, and I've got them here. There's a number of articles here. Now this was discovered a while ago. I mean this article is dated 2011, but actually this phenomenon is not on the moon at all. It's caused during the lunar eclipse, when the shadow of the moon affects the atmosphere of the Earth and causes a kind of bow wave. They call it a bow wave. Now I will read you some of this stuff here, but I won't read it all out. I'll have links to all this in the video in the description, so you can check these articles out. There's a number of them here. I've got a Wikipedia page up here about lunar eclipses. I'll have links to all this. There is a scientific paper here which was written many years ago predicting this phenomenon, which I think was only really proved in 2009. And I think actually Crrows 77 may be one of the first people to actually capture this on video and on film and get it up on YouTube. So, I mean, it is a very, very interesting phenomenon, and it does kind of make it look a bit like there is a hologram on the moon's surface. But I'm afraid that not to, I don't want to rain on this parade too much there, but I'm afraid that these articles really do explain it very well. The moon's shadow, like a ship, creates waves in Earth's atmosphere, and it goes into great detail here how the shadow, as it is cast across the Earth in the lunar eclipse, or vice versa, causes a kind of wave, a bow wave, to go round the Earth's atmosphere, which can be detected, and usually not visible to the naked eye. I mean, you would probably only notice it with quite a powerful telescope, like I think Crrows uses, and this is what we're seeing. So the lunar wave is not, in fact, a lunar wave. It's actually an Earth wave in our own atmosphere, caused by the moon as it goes into eclipse at various times of the year. Now, I'm not an expert on the moon, and I'm not an expert on eclipses, but I managed to find that after only searching for about an hour. I managed to do some very quick research here, and it's all pretty well explained here. Like a gigantic boat plying the heavens, the moon's shadow creates waves in Earth's atmosphere that travel more than 200 miles an hour, a new study reveals. Now, bear in mind, this is out of date. This article. This is 2011, so this is a few years old, a good few years old. So there we go. And the effect was predicted back in the 1970s by researchers who were only researchers were only able to observe it during the total solar eclipse in July 22nd, 2009. The researchers discovered that acoustic waves, also known as sound waves, in the Earth's atmosphere, oh god, what's this? Earth's upper atmosphere, it's done it again, this bloody thing, pile up along the leading and trailing edges of the moon's shadow as it moves across Earth, like the waves produced when a ship plows through water. We not only find the feature of a predicted bow wave, but also the stern wave on the equator side of the eclipse path, as well as the stern wake right behind the moon's shadow boat. Researchers write in the study, which was published in September, blah, 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 blah. Right. Well, I mean, that pretty much says it, really. I mean, you can go into further detail here. It goes into sort of great detail about how it was observed and what speed it was doing and the dates and everything else. So this has all been spotted before, but it's not a lunar wave. It's an Earth atmospheric wave caused by the moon. And there is a scientific paper here, which I'll have links to all these. You can have a look at it yourself. You can just click on the link below in the description, and you can read this in great detail if you wish to. So, you know, sorry guys, I'm afraid it's not a lunar wave, and it's not a hologram trying to cover up the surface structures on the moon. We know there are structures on the moon, buildings, they may be millions and millions of years old. They could even be older. They could be over 1 billion years old. We really don't know. There's a lot of buildings in Tycho Crater, which is the one at the base of the moon that looks very much like it's got a load of roads coming from it, which I'll show you. It's at the bottom here. I don't know if he's got it in here. Let's turn that down. I don't know if it scans right down to the bottom. But Tycho Crater, or Tycho Crater, is this light patch at the bottom of the moon. It's right down here. There it is, just there. And it's got a load of kind of what look like roads kind of coming out from it. That's where the buildings are. If you want to see buildings, go on Google Earth and click on the moon icon. Type in Tycho Crater, spelled Tycho, Tycho or Tycho, and zoom in, have a look, take some image clips, enhance it, and you will see hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of buildings, mainly on the rim of the crater on the west side. So have a look. They're all there for people to see. I've covered these buildings in a previous video, one of my videos, which is up here somewhere. Let's go back to my channel and I'll show you which one to look up. My channel, right? Okay. I'll try and keep this short. Nearly done. Okay, videos, video manager. Okay. Well, just the way I chuck this in on the end, just so you can have a look yourself without having to do the work. Most viewed. Okay. One of my top hitters, this one. It's NASA's Apollo Secrets, Alien Moon Bases, Towers and UFOs, 2014. This will show you that there are structures on the moon. Yes, NASA have tried to cover it up, a lot of people are coming out about it now. There are a lot of whistleblowers, ex-NASA people coming out saying that these things are there. I don't have to prove this, you can just Google it and you'll find there are lots and lots of structures on the moon. NASA did go to the moon. They went there about 8 or 9 times, I think, between different Apollo missions. But they did fake a lot of the imagery, and they were basically trying to hide a lot of the structures that they found on the moon. And there were also UFOs on the moon when they got there, which they edited out of the videos of the still photographs, which is why many of the horizons on the moon shots taken by the astronauts look artificial, because they've had the background removed, because they didn't want you to see the great big UFOs in the actual photographs, which were hovering above them. This also explains many of the strange lighting effects that were apparent on the surface when the astronauts were going about their business. I don't know if I've got it in this video. I might be able to show you some of it here. Let's go full HD there. Okay. I mean, there's all sorts. Here's the buildings in Tycho Crater. There's a whole bunch of them. Lots of rectangular structures. Some of these are kilometers long. Some of them are much smaller, but there are lots of them. And there's also the dark side of the moon was actually photographed in 1963. I think it was 1963, and these are some of the things that were on the dark side of the moon, taken by I can't remember which mission it was now, off the top of my head, but basically there were lots of satellite spy missions sent to the moon before we actually landed there. Lots of recon missions were done, and there are loads and loads of what look like glass structures on the moon, and there were lots of UFOs. Here's some of those glass structures. I'll play that through a little bit. Let's go back a little bit here. There we go. Yeah. There we go. There's the crescent. There's all sorts of different shapes. Now these are done. Whoever built these structures did them to look like craters, because from a distance that's exactly what they look like. So what they've done here, whoever built them has built them in a sort of crescent shape, which basically looks like a crater unless you get in close. Here's another one built to come and mimic a crater, with a sort of edge to it and internal structures. So whoever built these things, whoever put them there, was basically trying to keep themselves hidden. And there have been many UFOs spotted. This is one of the most clear ones. This one was spotted, I think, on Apollo 10, which is the pre-mission to the landing, where they flew around the moon but didn't land. So there's all sorts of crazy stuff up there. So anyone who says that we haven't left Earth's atmosphere or have only gone into near-Earth orbit is, I'm afraid, not telling the truth. And is probably a member of the Square Wheel Society, as I call them. So there we go. Here's a good image of those. I don't know if you can see that with all that text on it. Let's go back to the beginning. Let's go back right to the beginning. There we go. Now you can see here that these structures show up. This is the other side of the moon, which you do not normally see. And in fact, these images were kept secret for decades until fairly recently. And you can see loads of these bright structures which are made of some kind of glass or something. And these are on the side of the moon we never see. And a lot of these images were hidden from the public and largely still are hidden from the public, unless you're interested in this subject and decide to look it up on Google or on YouTube. Then obviously you might see videos like this one. But basically, the whole moon is covered in structures. There are chain craters which are unexplained and maybe due to weapons fire. There are towers. There's one I discovered here, a tower structure with a huge shadow. This is on Google Earth. Here's the shadow here, which is something like 20 or 30 kilometers long, this shadow. You know, I mean, some of these structures are enormous, and they're all over the place if you know where to look. But you do have to really sift through NASA's imagery, and they do censor the images like they do with Mars, of course. So there we go. I think I'll call it a day on that. Sorry to rain on Crrows' parade here, but I'm afraid the lunar wave is in fact caused by atmospheric change, an atmospheric bow wave in the Earth's atmosphere, not on the moon. It's not a hologram. Okay. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you soon.